all you freaks, geeks, and cinemaniacs. From the heart of Hollyweird, California, at the epicenter of all things eerie and awesome, it's time for Charles Band's Full Moon Freak Show.
Welcome to the Freak Show. This week, it's my pleasure to welcome LA-based filmmaker and podcaster Joe Lynch to our Psycho Circus. Joe started his career in rock videos before making his directorial debut in 2007's Wrong Turn 2, the direct-to-video sequel to Stan Winston produced horror classic. Wait a minute, Stan, because Stan and I, we're super close.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck. So
we're just going right into it. Fuck that intro. Who needs that intro?
No, it's good. It's good.
There's some stuff about Peter Dinklage and Salma Hayek and all
some
that.
Bullshit, but
whatever.
It's good.
Joe
It's
Lynch,
good.
everybody. Yeah,
Joe Lynch. No, it's good. It's good. Maybe we'll keep all this.
You should.
No, it's got to be. We got to do a good intro.
All right, fine.
But Stan, he produced the first one?
He produced the first one.
Okay.
And that was part of the reason why I went to go see it.
Okay,
I was like,
I got it.
So,
all right, because he didn't.
It's part of the allure of
either. Okay, you directed the second. Take two, but we may play this whole thing. It's so amusing. Welcome to the Freak Show. This week, it's my pleasure to welcome LA-based filmmaker and podcaster Joe Lynch to our Psycho Circus. Joe started his career in rock videos before making his directorial debut in 2007's Wrong Turn 2, the direct-to-video sequel to the Stan Winston-produced horror classic. Among his subsequent storied credits?
very storied credits.
Storied, yes, because they're... Okay, well, that's what he wrote.
I hope you keep all of this in.
Okay, we will. Among his subsequent storied credits are serving as... Okay, oh, I see what he meant. Okay. Fucking, come on, Chris.
Chris, Jesus Christ, man.
Could have been a one-sentence intro.
It's starting to read like your Fango articles. My God, man.
Among his subsequent storied credits are serving as co-director of the insane horror comedy omnibus, CHILLERAMA, directing the Peter Dinklage and Steve Zahn starring film KNIGHTS of BADASSDOM, and most recently the acclaimed MAYHEM with Steve Yuen.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll do that again, because we're going to use all this. And most recently, the acclaimed MAYHEM with Steve Yuen from The Vanishing Dead. No, it's the fucking Walking Dead.
I would totally watch The Vanishing Dead. That sounds amazing.
The Walking Dead, as well as episodes of TV's CREEPSHOW. His latest shocker is A Suitable Flesh, based on Lovecraft's The Thing on the Doorstep and starring full moon legend Barbara Crampton. Welcome to the show, Joe.
We did it! Holy crap, that only took 47 takes,
Yes.
But we finally got through it.
And in full, awesome transparency, we are going to show the whole thing. People will see how much we fumble. I fumble.
No, I mean, look, you are a very Kubrickian with your process. You want to make sure that there's at least 99 takes. So maybe this is more Fincher-esque, if you will.
No, I will tell you right away.
There's more takes than you probably had in the last film.
Back in the day
right?
when film was used and every foot was expensive and precious, this is irrelevant for young filmmakers like yourself.
Well, thank you. But I know what it sounds like.
Back in the day, we were having to use short ends. Short
ends
were what was left over. The big studio bought a 1,000-foot roll of 35. They broke it off at 200 feet, and we knew we had 2 minutes or less to shoot a particular shot.
But there is a wonderful creative tension that comes with that.
I agree.
There's a lot of filmmakers these days that are, kind of reverting back to film. Like when the advent of digital happened, it was everything is so much cheaper and the process is so much better. And the second, camera assistant guy is not sitting on the couch and furiously trying to get the next reel going. Right. But and I'm sure you've felt this way as well, there is something to be said about the feeling that is on set the moment that you click on and you hear money rolling out of the camera.
Well,
and there's a discipline that the actors, the crew, everyone gets on point. Right. Whereas now, it's you turn 3 cameras on, just let it roll out, we'll see what happens. Or
contrary to the way I was trained and the way that I had to make movies for the first 30 years. So
that's where I'm so glad that filmmakers in my generation kind of came at the kind of turning point where I learned how to cut on a Steenbeck.
Wow.
And that really made me precious to, you can only cut so many things so many times before your rough cut looks like Swiss cheese.
True.
And if you're playing it back for someone, the studio, producer, whatever, your mom, and then it breaks, you're like, oh God, I've taken them out of the moment,
That's true.
And having that kind of discipline, both shooting and in editing, has allowed me to not be worried about like certain things that are just like kind of lackadaisical when it comes to digital, but you really know every minute counts. And for movies like Short Ends, I mean, I don't think I've ever told this story before, but with Wrong Turn 2, that was around the time that they were like 20, because it was done by 20th Century Fox.
Right.
It was at a time we were always planned on doing it as a direct-to-video film, and they were like, well, why don't we shoot it on this fancy new camera? What's it called? Purple Puce? It's red. Yeah, the red camera.
Right.
But I really wanted to shoot it on Super 16. So because there were so many productions going on at the time in Vancouver, they just didn't have enough film. So we ended up, I think 80% of that movie was shot on Short Ends. And I know this because...
Short Ends 16?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Super 16.
Super, whatever.
But still,
Super 16.
it was like, because I was used to
bizarre.
like, okay, you have 8 to 11 minutes sometimes, depending on your mag. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, 2 minutes? Like, we have Henry Rollins hanging upside down. I can't have him come down again after putting him up for 2 minutes. But again, it forced me to know, like, I'm going to only get 2 takes on this. I better make it count.
I can tell you're going to be a really tough person to sit and talk to because I said one word, Short Ends, and we got 5 really good minutes of spiel.
Look,
Short Ends. I'm going to do another one in a moment. But
throw out Bill Lustig and I'll...
No, slow down. We got to go back a little bit to the beginning because I do exist in a bubble, and I'm aware of your work. And, of course, Barbara Crampton's a super good friend, and she said, this guy is awesome. And then I understood more about what you did, and then I figured, oh, God, Wrong Turn, Stan Winston. Stan and I were close for decades, and it's such a super bummer that he's no longer with us.
He's one of the greats.
But 2007, so he was not... Was he was the... well, he was in
name. By name. The thing with Wrong Turn 1 was that it unfortunately came out the same weekend as Finding Nemo. Not too many people saw it, but it made enough money. I was one of the 2 people that actually went to go see it. And when I was approached to do Wrong Turn 2, I was on a list of, the executives had to hand in like 10 names, and I was 11 because someone had seen one of my music videos on MTV.
Right.
So they just kind of threw it out there, and I went into Nakatomi Plaza down the street, Fox Studios, guns blazing, because I knew, and this is partially attributed to you, that there was a glut of splatter movies at the time in the 2000s. Everything was torture porn. There was a lot of
the worst
dour films that didn't have a lot of fun.
Right.
And I went in there with a whole spiel, but under the guise that like Stan was going to be involved. I had met Stan a couple times, like, shooting at his studio, at various conventions. He's always the sweetest guy in the world. So humble and so accommodating to people. I wish he was around now with the advent of social media and like TikTok and Instagram, where, because Stan Winston Studios puts out so much on how-tos, and he was one of the originals on doing that.
He was.
So I went in there and I was like, all right, so when do I get to meet Stan? And they're like, he's just collecting a paycheck on this one, which was a huge bummer. But knowing that the original Wrong Turn had a fan base, I wanted to do everything I could to at least honor sorry.
That's all.
At least honor what he had started with the original film. And, the original film was very much an homage to 70s films like Cannibal Holocaust and Last House on the Left and Hills Have Eyes. I knew I couldn't do that again. So that's where, on my original pitch, I went in and said, that was the first film. I want to make the Reanimator feel, or the Evil Dead 2 feel, for this new one. And I'll never...
Well, you did. You made a terrific movie.
Thank you.
I saw that. Stan, we go back literally to way before you were even a figment of someone's imagination, early 70s. But and the last movie he did for me was Parasite, because by then he was very...
well, wasn't he doing stuff in his shop? He was multitasking between all his different projects.
He was. But Parasite, the first movie I made, really, the first official movie called Mansion of the Doomed, Stan, prepared these amazing makeups. This was like 74 or whatever the heck it was. And that was Lance Henriksen's first film, and Richard Basehart. And we began our relationship and stayed really close. And he, on occasion, I'm so busy. He'd say, "Charlie, you got to come down and check this out or check that out," because he'd be conjuring up some monster or creature. So finally, when I did Parasite, which was maybe 7 years later with Demi Moore, Stan said, "This is the last thing I can do because I can't, work for you for,
getting a little busy too,
a little extra super busy." But then we stayed close till pretty much the bitter end. But Stan was, as you said, extremely generous,
Yeah.
the nicest guy, so gifted and so involved in so many amazing projects, whether it was Terminator, Jurassic Park, endless.
Well, he was also one of those like supervisors in the
Right.
shops when he was getting, into a point in his career
Right.
where he knew that he could assemble a great team, an
Right.
Avengers-esque team
Yeah.
of great artists that
Yeah.
could work under him and carry his name.
Right.
And, you talk to like Tom Woodruff and Alec Gills, who worked with him on, the second Aliens, and
Right,
they felt
right.
comfortable enough to be brought onto the third and have kind of taken the mantle on the Alien series.
Right.
All of those guys will attest, Stan gave them the kind of creative freedom
Yeah.
to make their own. You look at Monster Squad, and every one of those original designs, under the parameters of you can't do a Universal horror movie
right.
look, all of those, Steve Wang, Gills and Woodruff,
Right.
they were all very much feeling like they were making their own mark.
Yeah, well,
and
that
that's
was-
because Stan was so giving with
was.
that. Instead
He
of being
was.
so micromanaging and being like, no, that's not how I want it. That's not the Stan Winston
And when Stan
way.
finally said, Charlie, this is the last thing I can really do because I'm busy and this, that, and the other, he said, but I have a young kid who's perfect for you, a guy named John Beekler.
Oh,
and
my
John
God.
and I developed a relationship. The very next movie I shot was called Ghoulies. And
Yeah.
and then John and I stuck together until poor John passed away. It's like, what's wrong with these effects guys? They're
I saw John the last time I saw John. This is a fun, dumb story.
okay.
And it's funny too because when he was like filmmaker and podcaster, I'm like, oh, because we've been fighting so long to be like these established filmmakers, and then someone comes up to you and goes, oh, I love your work. Oh, thank you. And they're like, oh my God, episode 342
that's hilarious. That's
with
great.
Barbara Crampton was
Right,
amazing.
right,
You're like,
right.
I've made movies too, you
That's
know.
right, that's right.
But we
Well,
do
you're,
this.
you're just starting out. I mean, your resume, you're just beginning.
I'm trying.
How many movies have you made?
7?
It's nothing.
Well, compared to you, sir. Sorry if
You're
I can't
just-
shit out
no,
a movie
no.
every week. I try.
No,
I do
no,
try.
no.
But with we do this podcast. Another horror filmmaker and I, Adam Green, who's done the
Right.
Hatchet
Yeah,
series
yeah.
and Frozen. We started out doing this podcast as a way to promote a TV show that we were on, a sitcom that we were on. That's a whole other. Yeah, we were stars of a sitcom on FearNet years ago. That's on Shudder now.
And what is
I
that
think.
called?
Holliston. And it was
rings some
Dee
distant
Snider
bell,
was.
yeah.
If I showed you a picture, you'd go like, "That was you."
Oh, that's
we
funny,
had
yeah.
billboards up on Sunset with
Yeah,
us
I
naked and
remember,
everything.
yeah.
It was a whole thing. But we did a podcast to promote it, and it was just a great way to bring people in like us today and just
Right.
kind of shoot the shit, chew the fat.
Right.
And we started this thing called Yorkie-Thon, which is a 48-hour marathon where we stay up. We stay awake for 48 hours straight to benefit a dog shelter.
For real? You stay up?
Uh,
But what does that
every
have to do with
year.
anything? Why do you
It's an
torture yourself?
endurance test. It was more just to see by
So
by day
bizarre.
2 at 36 hours in, and we're going, a cucumber, like what the fuck is going on? But
Okay.
we brought John and Kane in to do a live commentary of Friday 7.
Okay.
And this was about 28 hours into the show. So we were on our 7th wind, 8th wind, or whatever. Good wind is actually a very
Wow.
key word here coming
Okay.
up.
Oh, my God.
But we're watching the movie, and I grew up with John's work, and
Mm-hmm.
Kane is an icon. I got punched out by Kane on Holliston, and he was like, "You take a mean punch." When you
That's
get that
funny.
compliment from Kane Hodder, you can die happy.
He's a nutcase.
But Beekler had worked with Adam on, I think, the first Hatchet, and then he acted for Adam in Hatchet 2. So
see.
they've known each other for years.
Yeah.
So, and John was starting to get sick at that point, but he was such a trooper, came in, sat down, we're talking about Friday 7, one of my
Right.
favorites. And again, I'd been up for a long time, and the coffee
so
was
bizarre.
flowing, and I had to go to the bathroom. So I pardon myself. I go to
Yeah.
the bathroom right off because it's in this big studio,
Right.
and I proceeded to spray diarrhea so loud.
We can't
and
say
so
diarrhea
vocally.
on this-
Oh, can we
on
not
this
say
show.
diarrhea?
No, we can't.
I was spraying liquid shit like it was nobody's business.
This is the most sort of unappealing story maybe I've ever heard in this room.
After listening to some of the other episodes, I feel like I have to top something, you know.
Way topped it.
So
We're paying for your bizarre
my,
lack of sleep and probably eating crap and whatever.
it was all. I was eating crap, all right, on both ends. But
Okay.
So I walk out, and I'm thinking, nobody heard that, right? I have never seen John Beekler so disgusted in my life. He looked at me like, "What the fuck just happened to you? What came out of you?" And I didn't realize because we were
God.
recording the whole time. I didn't realize it was so loud they were talking about that
horrible story.
They forgot long time ago about Friday the 13th Part 7. They were giving a live commentary about my bowel movements.
So skipping quickly past the bowel movement story.
It's hard, I know.
So what is the reason for the staying up to help? I mean, I understand the cause, but what does endurance have to do with helping animals?
I think part of it was just because I'm the one who came up with the really stupid tagline, "We'll stay awake so that they don't get put to sleep."
Oh God!
Right?
I mean, okay,
hire me for your taglines.
No, we got a much better guy.
Oh, damn it! That was the whole pitch today. I was going to be like, "So, Charlie, I wanted to ask you for a job."
Oh,
no, it
God.
was more just because
we'll suffer a bit in order to.
Well, that's what it's going to be this year. Now that we're taking 48 hours and spreading it out over.
And I'm going to make an appearance, right?
Yes, you are.
But I'm not staying awake. You give me 10 minutes. No. I'm gone. It's like
don't worry. Okay. We'll make it very easy for you. But it was just having one weekend where we can concentratedly focus on just getting as much money for these animals as possible. There's a shelter in Massachusetts that is called Save the Yorkie Foundation, and
these are specifically that breed.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, so it's not you're just into Yorkies. It's just a Yorkie thing.
Adam has a Yorkie that's like an emotional support animal. It's like his baby, and it's turned into like one of the highlights of our show. It's become a third. She's become a third.
You mean
member
your
of
podcast?
Of the podcast, The Movie Crypt.
Wow.
She's the biggest draw. Anytime that we've ever put out like Patreon stuff about like, hey, save the show, or throw a book our way.
Right.
Nothing. When we go, hey, we called it Give Arwen a Treat.
Right.
Thousands of dollars in a day.
That's unbelievable.
So
just keep doing that.
We've just been exploiting that goddamn dog for
just take the
years
dough.
now.
Okay, wait a second. All right. So back to the podcast,
Yes.
and forgive me because I'm sort of illiterate with this stuff. So it's an audio podcast. You're not shooting it or anything.
We tried video for a little while, and it
that's cool.
Just didn't work out. But we've been doing it for 9 years now.
That's unbelievable.
We've never missed a week, and this has been through at least 4 productions. I've been on sets, and we've made movies and stuff like that. It was a great way for us to reconnect with our friends, talk to new people, because I think you can attest. Whether you're making a movie, developing a movie, writing a film, or just in life, on Monday you're full of piss and vinegar, ready to take on the world. By Friday, you want to fucking quit.
Right.
So we started out where we would do it every Friday.
Thursday.
Oh wow, that
comes
that
earlier
dire?
sometimes.
Sometimes Wednesday, you never know. But by Friday, we were like, we're done, and then we would have another, filmmaker, actor, actress. Sometimes a lot of times in the beginning, like below the line, like casting directors and cinematographers and stuff, and they'd all come in and we'd all shoot the shit, and we'd all go, man, it's so much nicer to know that you're dealing with that too. And they would give us a little more oomph.
Wow, that's a lot. This is my 4th month doing this.
Try 9 years.
9 years. I can't even imagine.
I can't believe it's gone on this long.
That's great,
at this
though.
point.
That's
But it's a lot of fun, and it's great because we try to be inspirational as much as possible.
Right.
I think one of the things that I love about your show is when you bring on all of these filmmakers and you get past the junket kind of atmosphere. Yeah. When it doesn't feel like you're just sitting in front of the camera going like, oh yeah, he was a real trooper, and oh yeah, that was great. When you can cut past the bullshit, it feels like a conversation. You feel like a fly in the wall, and you realize, oh, these are people too.
It is. And what I like about what we're doing, and the only reason why I'm doing it, because another podcast, I mean, it's not what I wanted to do, and I don't.
Nobody woke up and said I want to be a podcaster.
Well, no, but it's been suggested to me for some years, and my drive is 6 minutes. So I'm not the guy listening to a podcast in my little 6-minute drive. So I'm not into the podcast thing. And I thought everyone's got a podcast. You're a veteran. 9 years is insane.
At this point, yeah.
But what I liked about doing it this way is the video side of this, because we have a streaming site on Amazon, US, UK, and in Germany. Yeah. We have our own Film and Features app. We put it up. Obviously, it goes up on audio so people can listen to it as well when they're driving somewhere.
That's how I listened to it from the beginning. And I didn't realize that there was a video component. I'm so glad I did.
The video's really cool.
Or I would have worn another shitty black T-shirt. So
I know you did really well. Very, very well dressed. But this part I like, also because we can take snippets and use them later.
Yeah.
We keep repurposing things here. So who knows where this is going to wind up, or a sliver.
I just hope the first 5 minutes of you doing 47 takes is the preview, because that's going to be the
I'm going for what the fuck. I mean, may as well do it. But I have to, just for the sake of some some people out there who may not know exactly who you are and what your work is.
Like my mom.
He's smiling like everyone knows who I am.
No,
that was
God,
a little
no.
smile that I saw in your eyes. But I do want to talk for a minute about the way you began with rock videos, because that is, I mean, kind of fascinating to me, that whole world, which I've never been involved in. I've had friends who were in there and did work there, but so was that fun? I mean, or was it?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love
It's a
doing
whole
it.
different mindset. It's like,
Well, I mean, it became the way to really put your work out there in one respect in the 90s when MTV started putting directors down on the credits. That was a huge thing for both, you know, obviously the directors, like the propaganda directors like Fincher and Michael Bay and Michel Gondry and Spike Jonze, like they became somewhat household names.
Yeah.
They became just as important sometimes as the artist when MTV was at its peak. And I learned so much about, you know, filming techniques, storytelling in short form.
Yeah, no, it sounds
just
great.
from watching those. And at the time in the 90s, a lot of those directors were getting movies. You know, before that, and, you know, this is in the 70s and 80s, like I thought, all right, I have to, how do I figure out how to get into movies or, because I always knew I was.
So this is your plan, though. I mean, you figured rock videos, movies.
This-
I mean, this
yes.
was a conscious thing.
100%. But
Okay,
I also
that's cool.
loved the art form. I loved, when I was a little kid, I would take 2 VCRs, put them together, and I would make little mixtapes. Like, what would it be like if I took a scene from Puppet Master and I put Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which I did. And I would take it to
That
parties.
is very bizarre. What?
But I would take it to parties
Okay.
and thinking like, oh, I'm going to look cool.
Right.
The room would clear the fuck out immediately
That's
because they're
very
like, look, I don't need to see you put Pantera against Lethal Weapon 2 again.
That's funny. That's
But
funny.
it reminded me why I love music and film. And when you put those things together, especially like when you get a great needle drop and you put it in a great scene, like the first time you see Reservoir Dogs and you hear Stuck in the
sure.
Middle with You and you go, it fits perfectly. That kind of symbiosis was something I've always been like attracted to.
Yep.
And you would hear all these stories about filmmakers, you know, that were making big movies, especially in the 90s, getting their first start in music videos. So I come from New York, actually, so I started shooting every band that I could get my hands on or that I could, you know, you talk to was like, excuse me, I have a DV camera. Would you want me to shoot you? And that's kind of how I got my start, at least
great.
doing that. And then
Did you get paid for some of that stuff?
Oh God,
a little
no.
bit?
Oh God, no.
Oh,
no,
really?
not at all. I was the starving artist type that was like, I'm going to put every penny on camera, you know, which was only 59 cents to begin with. Let's be
That's all
fair.
right, but okay, I get it.
it was, for me, it was a great reel. It was a great promotion. Like I actually broke into propaganda studios in New York's office and dropped off like 3 videos on all these desks, VHS tapes, like crazy, just to see what would happen. Nothing happened. But that also got me a job doing. Do you remember there was another MTV called Fuse? It actually started out as Much Music.
Oh yeah, I
USA,
do remember that. Yeah.
And they were looking for to do another heavy metal show like Headbangers Ball, and they knew someone there knew my work or whatever, and said, "Could you come into our office and could you make it for absolutely no money, your camera, your editing system, and our secretary?"
Wow.
And that turned into a show called Uranium, which ended up being their first huge show. Our first interview was Rob Zombie, and it was
how funny. He was in here
huge.
a few weeks
I know,
ago.
and it was huge.
Wow.
But that also got me in touch with all these different bands, so that when I moved out to LA, all those bands knew that I was moving out there. And I was one of the first people to buy this camera called the DVX 100, which was a 24p camera. That was like one of the first times that you could actually make video look like film in camera. And I just kind of put it out there, and I just started making videos like crazy.
So you made some money at that point?
A couple bucks here and there,
so
you know.
you were-
But I was still doing odd jobs, cutting porn, you know, like whatever you could. Oh yeah. It's funny because you were talking about your pseudonym with Bill Lustig,
Yes,
and I'm like,
yes.
that's if you look up like my IMDb, if you go all the way down in the list, in your mouth and on your face too. Mwah. The editing is impeccable by Fernando Fagabifi.
Oh, Fago Beefy?
Fernando Fagabifi was my my
Well,
surname.
we could have been a Fago Beefy and Bocchino, because I was Carlo Bocchino, which is Charlie Blowjob, which is really embarrassing.
When I heard that, I was like, man, I got to go back to the well and rethink my idea, because, you know, I don't know if Luciano rim job would sound quite as
No,
good.
not good. Not
but
good.
that video, all those videos that I did,
That's great.
for
I didn't
no
know that
money.
was a lot. Then you did a lot.
I
of
did.
videos.
I ended up doing like 20 or 30 music videos in like 2 or 3 years, and then one of them where I did basically an homage to Evil Dead, got on the Headbangers Ball, so we kind of came full circle, and that was the video that the Fox executives saw and said, "Yeah, why not?"
For Wrong Turn.
For Wrong Turn
Oh,
too.
cool. What a
So
good
it
story.
really did, like looking back,
Absolutely.
it all worked out. Like
That is great.
my trajectory kind of worked like how I wanted it to, because music videos were just such a great way to kind of not
Well,
just
that whole
promote
era,
yourself.
you know, I mean, I've got tributary type stories, but
That's why we're here.
There was a point where, I don't know, early to mid '90s, we were doing great. Paramount was doing our distribution. We were releasing a full moon movie every month, which was pretty trippy on 35. Right?
I know.
And one of the early movies was called Bad Channels.
I owned it.
And you owned it.
The Laserdisc.
And my casting guy said, "Hey, there's this hot chick on MTV. Her name is Martha Quinn. You got to put her." And so
Yep.
she's in the movie.
Hell yeah.
But all of this to me is so weird, having been doing this for a while. How young people's frame of reference, none of this exists in their world. None of this, nothing we're talking about exists at all.
Oh, those old guys are talking about those things that used to be
Not
on
even
that
old-
channel.
It's just the concept. I mean, the concept of playing a movie at will. Okay, when I was a kid, that didn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, at will. I mean, I was early on. I had the first independent home video company. But people didn't understand that. You know, if you were looking to watch Frankenstein because you had heard about it, you'd wait for it to come to a revival house, which
or
was,
you were
yeah,
stuck watching it on Channel 11.
or
you know,
Channel
on this-
5 with that terrible scene edited out where the
Yep.
girl gets thrown in, you know, so, but now, beep, 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 the world is so, in that way, with media, so vastly different. But back to 35, just for a moment, I was the last holdout because I was not into the digital thing at all. I wanted film, and there was a point, as you know, where it just became too expensive and too silly not to use the technology, which got better and better and better. But there was most people won't even know what I'm talking about. This is a really stupid story, but you will. Because there was a period where, okay, up to whatever the year was, I don't even remember, all 35 millimeter. Then there was a brief period where like your fancy machine or whatever that machine was you talked about, the edict was, hey, what you do is you shoot on film, but you don't make you
don't finish.
You don't finish on film, so you basically go straight to tape. I think they called it tape. It wasn't even digital. You edit on tape, and that's how you release your product.
Yeah.
The bummer for me, since now we've been going back carefully as we can afford it, and we've been putting all of the early movies on Blu-ray, and in some cases recently on 4K, is when you go back to a movie, and again, we shot maybe 3-to-1 if we were really splurging on 35.
Wow.
But you go back, and then you have 30,000 feet of negative that you have to transfer the whole 30,000 and match cut to your video edit. Now, this is probably, people are asleep at this point. They're
No
turning
way.
the channel.
No.
But that was the transition period. And finally, you go to digital and tape, and that's what we do today. And back to the dialogue about training and, you know, being careful with your – there was a certain approach to shooting these movies that is gone today because it's free. I mean, are we rolling? Did we cut? No, just keep, you know.
Can I
just
ask
kinda rolls.
you a directorial question?
Yes, please.
Like if you don't mind. Because one of the things that has gone from the discipline of directing is, aside from check the gate,
Right.
you know, which I still say. I can't. I'll
Great, 'cause
never.
you never
not
know when
say
a
it.
pube just flies in there, which
And
is
on my
never,
sets, there's pubes flying all over the place. They're usually mine. But when you would converse with your script supervisor and they'd say, "What takes do you like?"
Yes.
You know, and it would usually be like, you know, print 1, 3, and wait, did we get more than 3? You know, like the idea of having to curate or prioritize
or
the
make
takes
an
you need.
early select
Yeah,
on
like,
set as opposed to
now
later.
it's, you know, like on not the last movie because our script supervisor sucked. But
We won't
the
mention
one
his or her name.
Well, they suck. They know. But like on the films that we did in Serbia,
Right.
The script supervisor whose language was very much second, their English language was very much second.
Right.
She'd always come up to me like, "So, what takes do you like?" And like, I felt so bad because, you know, like it was just.
How do you say "fuck you" in Serbia? You're just in the nicest
Oh
way.
God, I
say
wish I
it.
remember it. All I remember at these days is "Zastudene," which means "why not?"
Why
You know,
not?
Which is what I said.
That's a good
every day.
answer for which take do you like? Why not?
That's why I know it, because after a while I was just like, print them all. Like, it doesn't matter these days because I would rather have the latitude of knowing, because you're moving so fast, like, because like just on the last movie there were takes that we had that on the day when I'm looking at the monitor or right next to it, I would go, oh, it was a little soft. You know, the focus was a little out or something was off. But then you'd look back and go, wait, actually, that works really well. Like, yes, maybe the focus might be off a little bit, but the performance is great. Or, you know, something just worked there.
But so, that's just a discipline that has a lot to do with money. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason why in the old days they would ask for what take is you could, you know, print certain takes. I mean, we printed almost everything because I shot 2 or 3 takes. That's it. I mean, sometimes one, you know, and even the DP sometimes, Mac Alberg, who was such a fantastic guy,
brilliant DP,
would say, Charles, we only have 1 take. I said, it was good. Let's just move on. You know,
wait, is that what Mac had an accent?
Mac was Swedish. Oh, he was.
For the longest time, I thought Mac Alberg. I thought he sounded like
Swedish.
This.
And the worst thing, I mean, yes,
I like obsessed over his work.
Well, his work
years.
is brilliant for sure.
This is blowing my mind. I swear to God, I always thought
so.
Mac was like, hey,
no, he's a very Swedish accent. But what made everyone crazy is, you know, I grew up in Italy, so I speak fluent Italian. And Max spoke a beautiful Italian. So we, on all the many sets, would always speak Italian. Pissed the crew off. I would hear
because
rumblings.
they all think you're talking. Well, they want to
know what we're talking about. So I would have many cases, and sometimes I would say, "Guys, I'm sorry, Mac and I can't help speaking." And what we said was, and I give them a little something because otherwise no one understood what the fuck we were talking about. Trend of thought. Why are we even talking? Oh, film, short ends, thing. Oh, money. Because
that's what it all comes down to.
It just rolls right today. It doesn't cost a penny more. So you may as well look at everything you shot and zip through it. And there was no zipping back then. You had to put it on the cam or the Mobile.
Or you'd have to like go over, pull it down from the bin and splice it in.
We watched dailies for the first 25, 30 years of my career, you know, on a screen, which was kind of fun, but it was always a day or two later. So
no one does that anymore.
No, but it was fun and cool because you got to sit down like your big movie.
I could never understand how you guys, you know, had the time to do that because, like, when I started,
it had to do it.
It's so weird. Like, you know, I listened to all these, you know, old audiobooks, well, books, but I only have time for audiobooks. But I, you know, kind of consume all these books about older filmmakers, and they would always talk about, like, yeah, we were sitting in Dailies one night, and everybody's, you know, having a good time drinking beer and watching scenes back. I'm like, man, I'm usually back at my hotel room or back at the Airbnb, and I'm already, you know, I'm stressing about the day already, and I'm trying to write the shot lists down.
Well, even as a bigger, crazier brain twister, you didn't get to watch the material you shot. It was 1 or 2 days old. Yeah. So, you know, you finished
and you've already moved on.
You've wrapped the set. Yeah. Now, you watch this also in case there was a problem, be able to go back and before you wrap the movie, you know. But truth be told, we sometimes ganged up dailies on a Saturday. It's not like every day like religion we were watching dailies because I'd be tired. I was like, fuck that. I want to go home. I need vodka or something. It was like, that was that
chill.
It was that time of the day. But no, you really did have to watch your material during the course of your shoot to know what you were getting. But what was cool about it is probably every other time we'd have at least a glass of wine, especially all the movies I shot in Italy. Because, you know, I never had wine at lunch, but the Italian crew always had a little wine at lunch. That was normal.
Even the Serbians, when we were shooting, would always have a little rakia after
whatever
lunch.
It is. But in the evening, you finish the shoot. You know, dinner's maybe late at 9, and we wrap at whatever, let's say 7:30, and then you drive to see your dailies, and you have a glass of wine. And there was something really cool about that because you're in a movie theater.
Yeah,
you're not zipping through on a little machine. You know, it's like you sat down in the big screen. And
did you ever have an experience where, like, you were watching the dailies and you went, "Fuck, this is not the way I intended it"?
Well, I could. Many different fucks. So it's either fuck.
Well, they're very.
Or there's also fuck. This is really good. This turned out so fucking good.
What's a bad fuck?
A lot of bad fucks. It's just bad fuck is focus. Sometimes you realize you didn't have the coverage you thought you had. But you know, again, my training. We can go on this angle for hours. Is forget the fancy shots and all that sort of. Not worth it. Just get coverage. If you're making a low budget movie and you know you have limited time, you need coverage so the editor can cut around mistakes, you know. And I've worked with a lot of first time directors, some terrific, some not so terrific at all. Stewart was amazing. Yeah. But you know, if you have a good DP by your side and they kind of know what to do, but please focus on the performance. I mean, That's where it's at. People are
And
watching
tell the
these
story.
human beings on screen, and do we really carry the camera goes up someone's butt and wraps around the head and goes high and goes low?
Oh, you've seen my new film.
Well, that's
Excellent.
But no one really cares except someone, jacking off to how awesome it is that camera went in and out and up and down.
Oh, so you've seen me jack off to some of my favorite films. Great.
I'm your straight man, okay? So
Okay,
I'm going to
good.
keep throwing this stuff out at you. But truthfully, you need coverage, and you need directors who know how to work with actors, who've worked on. I mean, why was Stewart so amazing? He knew how to tell a story.
was coming from a
but
theater
He
world.
came from the organic theater.
Yep.
That was his world. Who cares how exactly it was all shot? And he was good at that too. But he sort of evolved as he. I mean, Reanimator was his first movie. I mean, literally his first movie.
I will segue into like one of the reasons why I wanted to come here, which was, your book,
Okay.
which available now. Confessions of
Wait a
Puppet
minute! Oh my
Master.
God! Look, here it is.
Oh my God!
And-
Wow!
and it's-
Shameless
and
plug.
it's a nice little dedication.
Oh,
to
nice!
you.
It doesn't say Joe Begas. That's good.
No, that's next Monday.
Good. All right.
So here you go.
Oh, you don't-
Confessions of a Puppet
okay.
Master.
I'm going to tell you right now. This book saved my life
Boy,
a couple months ago.
Don't overdo it.
So
I mean,
no. As we all know, films are very difficult to make, especially like when you are working on low budgets,
Yeah.
very short amount of time, limited crew.
Right. Yeah, all
it can
that.
be a very arduous process,
Yes.
and especially like when you're away from home and it's a very hard situation to be in. And one of my traditions that I like to do, just to kind of either clear my head a little bit before we shoot or decompress a little bit. It's
get drunk. No, I mean.
Oh, I was going to say, it's almost like my sonic glass of wine in a
Okay,
way,
that's
was
cool.
to listen to audiobooks.
Okay, well,
and
that's cool.
I relish when the set is 30 minutes away or 45 minutes
Oh,
away from,
really?
because I get that time to be able to just
chill
zone out.
I get it. Okay.
And your book came out on audiobook form earlier this year.
Right.
And I was so excited. I couldn't wait to listen to it. And for about 90% of the shoot, that's what I listened to going to set
okay.
and
That's
coming
cool.
from set.
Is this the one that Barbara was in?
Yes.
So
This is
A
the one for a suitable flesh.
Okay.
Yes. Which rolls off the tongue much nicer than the thing on the doorstep. Sorry,
Right.
HP. But I needed that so much because there's nothing better. And this is part of the reason why we still do the podcast is
Right.
the commiseration between artists.
Right.
When you know that, like, when you're listening to stories about what it's like to be in Italy and you're trying to get 3 movies made,
Or in the slammer.
or getting thrown in jail. I'll never forget. That was day 17 of 19 when I was listening to that, and I'm going like, man, today got so much easier in my head. Holy shit! But
That's funny.
having that and listening to how breezily you would describe all of this stuff, because there's a world where you could have described everything that you were going on in the glass half empty realm,
Right.
where it can be like, oh my God, I got thrown in jail, and you know,
Right.
I lost all my money, and fucking Klaus Kinski is driving me insane. Like all of these anecdotes could have been done in a way that was very negative.
Right.
And it was your positive writing, and also the guy who did the audiobook, because you only did like the first and last chapter,
I
and
did,
he
right.
kind of filled in the rest.
Right.
I wish you did the whole thing.
Thank you. And the reason why I didn't, just so you know, because I am over my head with stuff to do, is they said it'll be 40 hours in the studio to do the whole book, or 4 hours to do the intro
Yeah.
and the
Here you
prologue.
go, pal. You
So
can- you
I
can
did
take it
that
over.
just to have done it, but I just didn't have the 40 hours.
But you know what? I got to admit, he captured.
He did. I thought
the
so.
essence of what needed to hear.
Yeah.
Like I needed to hear, it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
And every time that I would get in the car, nervous as fuck because I have 30 setups today and I'm only going to have 10 hours to do it. And I got to deal with Barbara Crampton again. Oh Christ! I'm
God.
kidding, Barbara. No, that's not true at all. I love her to death.
That's hilarious.
But the fear and the panic that all of us have when we get in the car to go to set, or even get out, or you're leaving set and you're like, oh my God, I only got 12 of those 30 setups.
Right.
And I needed to have a friend in that car.
Well, I'm
and
glad
that
I
you
was
were-
your pal
You were
and
my friend.
with my bizarre stories.
It,
so.
but it really does help, like whether you are a filmmaker or even just going through a lot of shit in your life.
Right.
When you can hear that people can survive a
Yeah.
lot of really hard shit that's
Yeah.
going on in their life, it makes you want to kind of keep going. You know?
Well, let's put things in perspective. You know, I mean, as you know, and for those of you who haven't read the book, as a little kid, I almost died a couple times.
Phew.
And my poor dad, who was on the set in Yugoslavia, speaking of Serbia, former Yugoslavia, was told on the set of one of these movies that your son is appendix is ruptured and he's being taken to the hospital in Zagreb or somewhere. And he probably won't make it. So my poor dad had to drive for 3 hours, you know, being driven for 3 hours from set somewhere in the middle of nowhere with a Hercules movie to this hospital. And I won't go into it. But so in a way,
read the book.
If you if you go through enough weird shit, then you look at other stuff. Go, well, am I really worried about this? You know, I mean, I was in a ward with people dying. Okay, it doesn't get much worse than that. So it also gives you a certain I don't want to say immunity, but you get a real thick skin when you've seen some real crazy shit in your life.
Well,
and,
speaking of thick skin, I have another fun little thing that I wanted to share with you. So Meridian.
Yes.
The Sherilyn Fenn werewolf love movie that you made in your castle, right?
I made it in my castle,
Okay.
yes. I can actually say that.
I don't want to spoil too much from this delightful book that's available on Amazon. But what's so funny was for years, had the biggest hots for Sherilyn Fenn, who didn't at the time.
Right.
And I guess I had a bit of a werewolf fetish. There was nothing, you know, like there was,
Wait,
remember Tanya's Island? Anybody
Sure.
hairy and making love to
So
beautiful
a big
women?
hairy beast banging Sherilyn Fenn was like a boner for you? Was that like
No, you know what it was?
combination?
It validated me because I knew that I was going to be hairy when I was growing up because my dad was hairy and I was terrified. Like,
Really?
well, because in the 90s, like everyone was shaving. So I thought, like, oh my God, if I'm hairy, does that mean that I'm unattracted?
Did you
to
really
women?
have those thoughts?
Oh,
really?
100%.
That's so bizarre.
Yes, 100%. I was terrified. Today, I'm like, yeah, let's bring down the buttons and shit.
That is
but
so bizarre.
There was
Okay.
a time that culture shifted from Burt Reynolds to Marky Mark.
Okay.
And there was a time where I was like shaving profusely because I was
Really?
like,
That's
I'm
amazing.
terrified to ever take my shirt off.
Wow.
So when I saw Meridian, I'm like, all right, hairy guys get laid too. This is not
Real
too
hairy
shabby.
guys.
And then, like listening to the book, hearing the anecdote about how because it was Greg Kenham's suit, which was the same costume that was used in Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I also jerked off to.
Right.
So it was a
Jesus.
very weird, like, oh my God, I've made love to myself with that same werewolf
Wow,
over
that
two
is
different
a very
films.
convoluted, bizarre.
When I heard
sort of
that
weird
story. In Mississippi, I was on a treadmill,
Right.
and I'm running, and like when you make that reveal, I swear to God, I think I almost fell off the treadmill.
That's hilarious.
I was dying inside because then immediately I go, oh my God, that's totally the same fucking werewolf suit. Holy shit.
Just for a little clarity, Greg Canham, who's an amazing effects
One
guy,
of the best.
Even back then, before he became even more famous,
When he was doing like Lost Boys and stuff.
he had a little hole in his schedule, and of course I did have a castle, and no longer, and I'm making this movie, and somehow I roped him in, and of course I think part of the allure was to go to the castle and hang there because shooting and living at the place was
oh my God,
amazing. You know, you go up down 2 floors and you're in the basement, and that's where your set is. So that whole thing was
So
pretty
cool.
cool. But he calls me some weeks prior and he goes, look, on your budget, I can't afford to make a full bodysuit and make it well. But I do have something left over from Coppola's Dracula. I'll change the look of the face, but just so you know, you're getting a $40,000 suit free for your production.
insane.
And
But
sure
that's
enough,
how
if
you do it.
That is how you do it.
But I was so happy to hear that. And
Glad I cheered you up as you were driving towards your like doomsday every day.
No, that was where I was like,
That was a good thing.
running off those
Oh, okay.
breakfast burritos in the morning, going like, "Oh God, I hate my body," and like, "Hey,
That is-
all right, not
that's
too
so weird.
shabby. That's great."
Yeah, a good body. I don't know. It's so
I'm
weird.
working on it. You
All
know.
right, I don't
Well,
know.
as you know, like when you're shooting, the last thing you worry about is your health a lot of times, or at least
correct.
like trying to
Right.
maintain yourself.
Right.
I found at least recently in the last 2 years that not working out, but just staying healthy focuses me more now.
Oh, for sure.
Whereas in the past, I would always go, all right, 6 weeks, I'm going to be eating nothing but crap food and breakfast burritos
don't
every
have to
morning
do
and
that.
shit like that. Nope, not anymore.
I was lucky in that I learned that at age 9 after I went through these surgeries because I won't get into the gross part of it, but you have something called adhesions later. It can happen.
Yeah.
and those adhesions strangle your intestine. And once again, you have a blockage, and they got to open you up again, because I've had many operations. So as a young kid, it took a few more years after that, I learned how to really eat well and eat properly. So I ate really well, and I slept pretty good. I never did drugs, which is amazing considering
the time that
the
you
60s.
Yeah.
I mean, some hash or weed, but that was not my thing. I drink wine and sometimes vodka, and I'm 90. And so far so good. That's turned out really well.
It. And a little hairy too.
Yeah,
not too shabby.
They used to be dark, and now they're not dark anymore. But what can you do?
We try.
So this reminds me of something I do know about you that I found really fascinating. Let me make sure this is accurate. Did you make a movie in Ukraine or produce a movie in Ukraine? In fucking Ukraine?
No.
Okay.
No.
Misinformed.
It was a guy that was part of like my management company at Anonymous Content. Was this guy named Peter Jackal had made the first 3D found footage movie. It was a movie called Ghoul.
Yeah, Ghoul. I remember that.
I was in between. I was the old in between projects.
Okay.
I was looking for a job.
Right. Okay.
And my manager called me up and said, like, would you mind sitting down with this filmmaker and just help him shape the movie a little bit?
Okay.
And at the time, first time a 3D found footage movie had ever been made, which was a little weird because you're like, if it's found footage, how did they go through all the process of even going through 3D? Whatever. Semantics.
Right.
But it was great because this guy was willing to take my notes and then go back to Ukraine and shoot more stuff, and
amazing.
It was such a great. He just did a movie now that came out a couple months ago with Michael Caine and Ben Foster, this big like historical epic. And I saw him again. I'm like, hey, remember Ghoul? And he was just like, we don't talk like to talk about that.
It's like when I'm up into Helen Hunter to me more. No,
but it's funny too because like I think we related because he just liked hearing all my stories about shooting in Serbia, and which I still to this day, two of my best shoots. You're shooting Subspecies 5 right now,
we wrapped that, yeah.
Really?
Amazing.
Did you go over there at all?
I did not. I mean, I'm back and forth to Italy a lot, but we have a whole operation in Cleveland. It's another story, another chapter, and I just couldn't be there. But Ted Nicolau, my friend of 40 years.
Great Ted.
Subspecies 5, Blood Rise, he went there a month early. Well, we were going to shoot it in Croatia. This is just before the pandemic, and then pandemic messed that all up, and then Croatia didn't seem to be the right place. And then we kind of sort of stumbled into the Serbian thing with good reports from other filmmakers.
Well,
and so Ted went there a month in advance, to his credit, and ours for footing the bill to find the most phenomenal locations. And then he shot for a month, which for us is an eternity.
A month.
Your 18-day trial and tribulation driving to set 18 days. Our average is 7. Okay, that's what we're doing. But they're 60 minutes. They're not 80 or 90. They're crafted in a certain way, and it makes sense for what we're doing. But Ted spent a month shooting the 5th subspecies. The last one, Subspecies 4,
I'm so excited. I love that series.
Was shot 26 years ago, and the first 3 were shot in the early 90s, like 30 years ago.
Wow.
So time really fucking flies. But the footage looks ridiculous. So it'll be out in, I keep telling Ted
tomorrow.
January. He goes, no, February. I go, fucking February.
Of course, every director is going to say a month later.
I know, but he needs it because speaking of 35 millimeter and so many edits and the frames get all dirty and scratched, Ted has an expression, and because we do go back to Tourist Trap.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was the first collaboration.
Many years ago. So Ted and I know when he gets into a certain mode, he'll assemble the movie. I'll give him some notes, and then it's pretty much locked. And then he says, I need 4 or 5 days to do some frame fucking. And what he literally does, now it's all different now in digital, but back in the day, it's literally, this needs a little frame less. You cut the 35 and one more. And he would literally do that for a week. He just kind of futz with the timing. It's like, oh my God. So when you add in frame fucking, it'll be February. I think that's what.
Well, now with
is.
Digital, you can do it on your phone.
You can do lots of frame
fucking. You can frame hump, as they call it on digital.
So the Ukraine thing. Okay, so you weren't there. You kind of produced. That was helped make the movie.
Yeah, I helped shape it. After
that's
the
cool.
fact, though.
That's cool. But that's Ukraine. Okay.
But it was also nice because it wasn't me behind the camera. Like I enjoyed the fact that I could take a step back and objectively give him notes without having to worry about him actually or me going out there and,
all
and
that stuff,
getting
yeah.
it and stuff. Like it was nice to kind of take a step back a little bit, but
Yeah.
it also made me want to go back to shooting immediately. You know, I love it on set. I mean, there's an energy. We were talking before. Like I feel weird sitting on this director's chair because usually, anytime the few times I'm ever sitting on a director's chair on a set means something's wrong.
Okay.
You know, or something broke, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you
Except say,
have to wait. I love the energy that's on a set. I love, you know, kind of spreading that amongst the crew because we're so blessed. We're so lucky to be doing this, you know.
We are.
And I try to profess that to every crew member, every cast member. Like, you know, Barbara and I got along so well, you know, even before the shoot, but like we fed off of each other's kind of positive energy.
She's like a miracle chick. She really is. You know,
I don't know
remember,
how she does it.
I knew her back when she was a child.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
A child. And she's still a child. She looks amazing. She's involved in a number of projects. We'll probably be doing something soon. She's just a real force of nature.
Well,
Barbara
she's
Crampton.
the one who came to me with the project.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Right when the pandemic hit and everyone's going, well, what's next? You
Right,
know, and
right.
Barbara had emailed me because we knew each other for a couple of years,
Right.
but not, you know, not as intensely as we know
Right.
each other now,
Right,
you know, in a
right,
good
right.
way. But she reached out and just said, and this really kind of was heartrending to me. Stuart Gordon was trying to make this movie, A Thing on
True.
the Doorstep, with Dennis's script
Right.
for years and could never get it off the ground. And unfortunately, we lost Stuart, which is heartbreaking to me because he was one of my heroes
Right.
growing up. Meeting him at one of the Masters of Horror dinners was like, and sitting next to him
Right.
was mind blowing, you know. But she had asked and said to him, and I don't know if this is hyperbole or whatever, but this is what she told me. But she's like, she asked Stuart if there was any filmmakers that he would be comfortable taking the reins.
Right.
And I supposedly was number 11 on the list or something, but I was supposedly on that list.
That's cool.
So she reached out to me, and
Right.
I read it. And, you know, one of the things that I think we all have to contend with when it comes to making films in a modern day age is, you know, being a little reflective on the current culture. And when I read the script, and Dennis's script was very faithful to Lovecraft's story, but it also took a modern spin, you know, his usual shtick when it comes to adapting those films. But it was very male skewed. It was very male gaze. And I got to be honest, you know, I felt like it was just not the right time for this type of movie in this kind of purview. You know, we're still into, you know, at least at the time that I was reading it, Me Too was a very big thing. And, you know, and not that it was reactionary off of that alone, but it also felt like how many times have we seen a Michael Douglas 90s thriller where it's all about the male gaze.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, the woman is always a femme fatale. What if, just to
Right.
throw that out there, what if we spun it on its head? And, you know, if you know Lovecraft, you know, a little history about him, he tended to write on the more male skewed side, you know, a little misogynist, if you will. But like we just thought, like my writing partner and I, when we read it, we were like, what if? What if we made, you know, Edward Derby into Elizabeth Derby, you know, and not just for the, you know, like I kept hearing about all these meetings that would go on in the last couple of years, where someone would take their dusty old Lethal Weapon ripoff and burst into a studio room and go, "Fellas, I got it!
Right.
Lethal Weapon with chicks." You know,
Right.
it's more than that. It would, you know, because
no, it isn't. No, I'm just kidding.
but you know, like
I
the
get it.
characters were older. You know, they weren't women in their 20s or just characters in their 20s. And I got to admit, there's nothing sexier than an older woman. You know, like I think that there's something really, you know, untapped when it comes to erotic cinema that doesn't have it where, you know, the female character in their 30s now, but 40s and 50s is usually relegated to the doctor or the mom, you know, and you know, there's think about so many actors that, you know, that we know of that were growing up in the heyday of the 70s and 80s who are now moms, and you know, they're still beautiful and they're still sexual, you know, so we just, as a kind of why not pitch, we pitched that idea thinking, well, that's going to be the end of that. And shockingly, both Barbara and Dennis came back and said, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Let's try it. You know, like let's go
and
back.
That's what evolved to.
And that's what evolved into the script that we ended up shooting. You know, and that's where we were able to really tap into things that I don't think we've seen very often in horror films and erotic thrillers. It's the first time that I had ever done anything like this. I wouldn't necessarily say I've matured as a filmmaker, you know, in terms of like the material, but it was tapping into things that I had never explored before. And personally,
so we know you've dabbled in, you've cut porn.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Hold on, you had a boner for Meridian.
Yeah.
Both for the hairy creature and the chick.
Check.
Right? All these things are part of the matrix that brings us to this this show that you flip the protagonist, right?
And in a way where it felt like we were like, and we tried to do this as much as we could, you know, not to just be, what's the word, progressive.
Right.
But, you know, we tried to hire as many women on set, you know, as possible in key roles, not just, you know, the usual ones that people always associate them with, you know, just to try to bring as much of the female gaze into this as possible.
I get that.
Now, no, look, you know, they're going to look right at me and go like, but you got a dick, you know, and you're a dude, you know, so
This is
of
the
course
most bizarre conversation towards the end of our hour. The thing, the
we
dick,
try.
the girls,
Lots
the
of
gays.
dicks in this, you know.
Jeez Louise.
But it was something that
does it change anything now that you made the movie that 70% of the audience that watches these movies are male?
no, not
Or
necessarily
65% or 2/3 or whatever the number is.
if there is anyone out there who
I'm
watches
just
the
being-
movie,
yeah,
no,
there you
but
go.
it's true though. Like, look, a lot of horror fans are male skewed. A lot of them are younger, you know. So,
Well,
already,
they are all ages. I mean, there are horror fans that
Now
are,
more than ever.
Yeah. Well, there's a younger breed. Obviously, there's a certain sub sort of genre of horror films that have been doing really well at the box office. Jason Blum has made all of them practically.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, that's a different cut, but the genre has always been somewhat popular. Now it's just out of control.
It just felt like it was an untapped.
No, that's cool. It is.
area,
It is. It
you
is
know, to be
untapped.
able to play with these characters in a way and play with erotica that I mean I don't know if you feel the same way, but I just feel like movies haven't been very horny lately.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. That's a whole
Of
separate
course.
hour. That would,
Of course,
I
but
only
you know
want
what? If
4
there's
people to watch,
if
but-
there's 4 more people that watch my movie and get turned on by it, you know, because I've had sex in my movies, and it's weird fucking sex scenes. Like the Wrong Turn 2 has a brother and sister fucking, you know, and
Wow.
oh yeah, man. Like,
maybe it's good I haven't seen most of your movies. Maybe
or maybe you'll be going
not.
home tonight and
Wrong
renting
Turn
a lot of
2.
stuff.
All right.
I
Okay.
highly recommend it. But I've always had a very, as we've already discussed, you know, a different perspective on sex when it comes to film.
Right.
And I've never had a chance to explore that in a film like this. And also at the same time, I don't think we've talked about this yet, like publicly, but you know, Stewart was a huge influence on me.
Yeah.
Very much because he was doing things. He was one of those modern provocateurs before I knew what the word provocateur was.
Right, no,
he was
for sure.
pushing buttons
And he knew how to weave it all together, you know, in
because
a very
he knew how to talk to actors.
Exactly.
He knew how to talk to the crew to kind of get his way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
A Suitable Flesh is actually tied to Reanimator.
Okay.
It is taking place in the same hospital as Reanimator 30 years later.
Okay, I didn't know that.
One of the things, this is exclusive here, but Miskatonic University, I didn't know this, is right down the fucking street. You know, the one that they shot the plates for in the original Reanimator. I thought it was Massachusetts, like everybody else. But then we were driving
we
down
shot
one
it
day,
right here, yeah.
and we're on the 405 and going, that's the Reanimator hospital. We stopped and shot it, and there you go. You know, but it was, I wanted this to feel like a bit of a love letter to filmmakers like Stewart, like Brian De Palma, those filmmakers that were playing with, you know, provocation, and playing with sexuality in a way that, you know, it fits well into the genre.
You hit a soft spot when you mentioned Brian De Palma because some of his movies are absolutely brilliant, and he did weave in some really crazy erotic stuff.
Well, you are going to love this movie because, man, we got
So tell
split
us,
screens
so
and everything.
where split screens.
Oh,
all right.
there's a split screen.
So,
all right.
so when does this possibly come out? What's the timeline? Which I have to ask because remember, I'm in a little factory here.
Yeah.
You know, within a matter of weeks, we wrap, we do, and it's coming out on date certain. We're like, that's the way we have to do it.
Well,
But
things
I know
are-
yours is a little different because you're
Things are a little things are TBD until we're probably going to hit the festival circuit early
so
next
you're going
year.
that whole route.
I think so. Yeah,
interesting.
nothing's been kind of set in stone, or at least what I've been told to say.
Okay.
But for now, all of our goals right now in finishing up, because we just came from the edit room just now. So
when did you shoot it?
We shot it in June, May, June.
So June, July, August, September. It's 4 months already in post, huh?
About that, yeah. But we just picture locked. I know, lofty goals here. But now we're in the fun version where it's like, oh, now you get to do VFX and sound and music.
So no frame fucking. It's locked, really locked.
We frame fuck the shit out of that.
Okay, so it's
thing.
locked. Now you get to do all the other stuff.
Now it's all the residual stuff, which is fun, you know. But our goal is to, because look, these days it's so hard to be able to see some of our films in a theater. So
for sure.
I'm so blessed that there's so many festivals that allow us.
So,
to
what
play
would
that.
be the best festival you could take the movie to?
I don't want to jinx it, you know.
Okay, let's say it's not this movie. Let's say you have a horror movie. What would be the ideal?
A lot of the fall festivals like Fantastic Fest and
now, where's that?
Beyond
I'm
Fest.
like
Fantastic Fest is in Austin.
Okay.
Beyond Fest is here in LA.
Well, that fall's gone.
Yeah, I know.
So what's coming up?
Well,
next year?
like South by Southwest and Tribeca. There's a great festival if you haven't done it yet called the Overlook Film Festival, where they actually kind of make it an immersive experience too. Where
Never had one of my movies in a festival.
Get out of here!
In my entire and
What's
the
wrong
movie,
with you people?
And let me tell you why. Because the movie we just finished shooting is my 370th movie. So I've made a lot of movies. The minute that movie is done, it needs to get out there. It needs to generate some money. It needs to fill a slot. It needs to be out on streaming, on Tubi. You know, it's a machine. The idea of taking a movie and throwing it out into a film festival thing. I'm not making those kind of movies anyway. I've made some that you can go back and go, Reanimator or whatever. They're movies I've made.
Considering the 900 movies that you've made,
370,
pretty damn close.
Okay.
But there's that adage of like one for them and one for me. It's like, did you ever want to have a one for you that you can maybe just take a step back and not and let it kind of go out into the ether?
Okay, this is a good segue because the answer is there is one. Okay. There's a movie, it's a long story, the shortest version. It's called The Primevals. Mm-hmm. And, a great collaborator of mine at Full Moon was a guy named Dave Allen. Dave Allen was a stop-motion animation guy.
One of the geniuses.
Went back to, he was a Ray Harryhausen protege.
You talk about this in the book.
I do. And Dave and I started with Laser Blast in the 70s, and he did amazing work for Puppet Master and Dolls, Stuart Gordon's Dolls, endless amount of great stop-motion work. And he had a pet project that was completely out of our budget range called The Primevals. It required 12 weeks of shooting, which is that doesn't happen at Full Moon or prior. And then after you shoot this 12-week expensive movie, it required 2 years of stop-motion animation, which means you spend 80% of the money and it's sitting there, and then these guys, one frame at a time, are doing the stop-motion. Mm-hmm. So in the 90s, there was 1 year that was a banner year and Paramount, and I finally said, Dave, I've promised you this for 20-odd years. Let's do Primevals. So my dad was an awesome father and veteran filmmaker. He line produced it with Debbie Dion, who I was married to. And they went 12 weeks. We built sets at the Romanian studio that I built, that I owned for 9 years. And we shot in the Italian Dolomites, and we shot this amazing movie, wrapped it, and we began the 2-year stop-motion animation, post-production process. And about 18 months into that, Dave died of cancer. Yeah. And that was, I don't know what year anymore, because it's all in some late 90s somewhere. And that was around the same time that the Full Moon's fortunes didn't flow, they ebbed. And so we literally had to pack things up, and we put Primevals, which was a finished movie in terms of photography, 150 of 250 stop motion shots literally in a box up to 3 years ago or 4 years ago, when fortunes again turned for the better and streaming and all the stuff we're doing now. And I got Chris Endicott, who was Dave's right-arm guy, and he brought a team together, and we literally are finishing the movie next month. They'll be finished after 37 years.
So why can't
So therefore...
There's your festival darling.
This will be the festival darling. Because
are you listening?
Yeah. No, well, a lot of people follow the Primevals. It's amazing. At some point really soon, I'll be showing some footage and some...
did you hear about Phil Tippett's movie, Mad
Yes.
God?
Yeah.
That's what, I've already obviously like Dave Allen. Phil Tippett was a god,
Amazing.
and this was his dream project, and he finally got it done. I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
And
man.
they released it on Shudder. He didn't do the film.
The world needs a Charlie Band festival.
Well,
darling.
this is Dave Allen.
If Lloyd Kaufman can have the Cachet de France, do an entire retrospective on him,
That's okay.
I think it's time for us to have that Charlie Band moment.
Well, Primevals I'm really proud of, and my brother, who's the most amazing composer, did an incredible score. I mean, my brother, Reanimator, From Beyond, Puppet Master, pretty much all the well-known Full Moon Signature series he's done the music for, and the music is such an integral part.
So what's left to do?
It's literally, we're finishing a mix. It's done. It'll be done in 3 weeks, literally done in 3 weeks. Now, if this was any other Full Moon movie,
That's so
especially with that
exciting.
investment, we'd get it out somewhere
Yeah, of
soon.
course.
But this deserves the festival route. Let it find its home.
I guarantee you there's so many festivals, and that's the beauty of our genre now,
Right.
is that there's so many great genre festivals out there that would kill to have that as a premier film.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's where we're going. We haven't started that process, but so you that's a nice way to wrap this up, dude.
Thank you so much.
And I should do your podcast unless I
Yes.
already did it and I don't
Nope.
remember.
Well, knowing you guys, this is going to be out in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah,
so
well, when you walk out of here, you can watch it. No, that's not true.
I wouldn't be surprised.
This
but-
will be out because people like to know on audio on Tuesday.
Okay.
'Cause it comes out quickly on audio, and it's
Awesome.
usually that following Thursday where it'll be out on all our streaming channels. It'll be out on YouTube. And we put them up on Tubi. We get 20, 30,000 people watching each episode, and 80% of that, they actually watch it. Now, how long they
It's on
watch
Tubi
it,
as well.
It will
Tubi
be,
has
yeah.
the best library of horror movies
Tubi.
out right now. We found, I was looking up Rolling Thunder. I'm like, of course it's on Tubi.
We love Tubi. We were one of the first who lucky enough to have a
Embraced it.
channel. You know, so Full Moon for the last 5 years has had a channel on Tubi. But more times than not, if I'm looking for some odd movie that I don't have a Blu-ray on or a DVD, or it's not on Amazon or Netflix, you'll punch it up on your screen. And
Yeah.
it's on Tubi.
It's always on Tubi. It's
of course,
become a
then you have
joke
to
at
watch
home
the
where it's
fucking
of course it's on
commercial. The
Tubi.
commercials. Oh God.
I'm so used to that now. Where it's
Really?
look, if I want to watch tape heads, I'll deal with 30 seconds of a fucking shitty Verizon commercial.
Well, the
to-
commercials are at least not. It's not about cancer. You turn on the news and every other
I don't
commercial.
know the
I haven't hit-
Crohn's disease one that
Oh,
has
really?
been on where you're like, oh no, I'm
But
good.
I don't want to hear about that stuff. I would pay money. Why hasn't someone taken a great news channel and just I'd be paying $10 a month. Just give it to me commercial free. Just give me the news. Don't let me sit through all these pills and people dying and the poor dogs. Even though I shouldn't say
God.
that to you because the corky schmorky thing. But at the end of the
the
day, whatever
corky-schmorky
the
fun.
fuck it is, I'm just saying I don't want to see those things.
Yeah.
And I'll pay money. Just like.
Well, don't they
yes.
have the premium channel versions of
No,
that?
they don't. Well, it's a streaming thing, which is also
Because
kind of
your money is probably not as prolific as the
advertisers' money.
exactly. So they're like, you know what?
Right.
We'll take the schmorky Yorkie thing.
And we, no, I don't mean to be mean, but I mean, and the problem with these commercials, and we all know this, but I just have to say it, is that those disclaimers are half the length of the commercial. So
Wait, you
whatever
mean the
they're
shots
selling,
of someone throwing frisbee in slow mo. It's like side effects include death.
right? Well, no, but it's a litany of things.
Yeah.
And they have to say it. But we obviously, as an audience, if you're interested in whatever the medicine is, we tune out of that. No one listens. I've heard.
No, you just want to watch people running on the beach
Right,
and
right, right.
like
You're
sharing hot
oblivious.
dogs with friends, not going like side effects include like cancer and all this other shit. Like no, like I'm
It's
just
a bummer, but
completely
it's
entranced.
the world we live in, and we are blessed. We are lucky. Let's face it. I mean, there are a lot of amazing things going on right now, even though the news regurgitates the ugly shit.
That's their job.
On that note, no, we got to end on a happier note. There's something I don't know.
Yorkie-Thon.
Yorkie. Okay, so tell us. So Yorkie-Thon is when?
Yes,
Is
it's December 4th through 10th.
Yorkie-Thon. And are you going to stay up again? No.
No.
That's the
Last
worst.
year,
This is our
I
18th
passed
or
out.
19th podcast.
Yeah.
This is the most gross story about you exploding with diarrhea in the bathroom.
Yeah, but it's a John Beekler story. Why are you shocked? Come on.
That's right.
I've smelled John before.
Oh,
Like,
Jesus.
come
Okay,
on.
Why did I even bring it up?
Why did you bring it up?
So Yorkie. So what's the
Yorkie-Thon.
deal?
So the Movie Crypt is putting on our annual Yorkie-Thon. This will be the 7th year. It's from December 4th through 10th.
Wow.
We're going to
Yorkie
be.
City.
but
Do you have a Yorkie?
No, I don't, but Adam does. And
Oh, is this
and
just because Adam's got a Yorkie
he's
dog?
I would totally take a Yorkie, and no, maybe not. I don't know. I'll go with a French bulldog. Yeah, so we usually we stay up for 48 hours straight. This year we're spreading it out over 48 hours over a course of a week, so we can have more guests on. A better chance to.
And how do you bring a guest? It's like, it's audio, so people are.
No, this will be video. Yeah, so we'll either
like
have
Zoom
you come into the studio, which it looks kind of like your studio here, or we just do it over Zoom. But it's something where it's all done live. Where people, tune into the show, and we just kind of hang out.
So it's
and
like
have different guests.
you're raising money.
Where every dollar goes to the Save the Yorkie Foundation in Massachusetts, and as of now, you're going to be shocked on this one. We've raised almost $120,000. So it's wheelbarrows of Yorkies have been saved.
Wow.
Yep. So it's a worthy cause. It makes us sleep better at night.
Does it really?
A little bit, yeah. Or when we're done.
Did you call it the Yorkie-Thon? Is that what I understand?
Yorkie-Thon, yes.
It is the Yorkie-Thon.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the legitimate name. But we're going to have guests, musical acts.
I'll be a guest.
Commentaries. We're going to.
You got to do like a mural when I come on, or you don't have a grease. You just.
You don't need a green screen for you. You're your own. You're your
no,
own special effect.
But you don't see it. But this is an amazing mural with all your.
I just feel so bad because my hair is not green screen friendly. So your poor DPs or whoever's going to be comping this out is going to be like...
You'll be surprised how good it looks.
The fact that you guys cut this on DaVinci, I'm just like, holy shit, we don't have that.
We're really good at this show.
High budget shit there, Charlie.
All right.
Well,
but thank you, dude.
No,
thank you.
Thank
and good
you
luck.
so much.
There's so much more we could have spoken about. I wanted to hear a bit
save
about
it
Serbia because you spent
Yorkie-Thon.
time. You like being in Serbia. You
loved
enjoy
it.
that whole thing.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, really nice people for sure.
Oh my God, they're the best. Well, the best part is they care about making movies still. Yeah. Instead of it being like, Grip will go over and like turn a light on me. I'm going to lunch. You'll get like
all that way. But.
You'll get a Grip in Serbia. It's like, so what do you like? You want the Greg Tolan? What do you think? Magnificent Ambersons? Would you like us to cut a hole out the floor? And you're like, I
you
care
did that
about
very
movies.
well. How did the girls talk?
So would you like to, would you like us to cut the hole out on the floor? Like pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's a good accent.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you.
Thank you,
Joe,
sir.
Thank you very much. And ciao.